One of the things that is more contagious than coronavirus is fear. Public panic, mass hysteria, whatever term you prefer.
We've got to cut through the noise.
Just to get into this really quick, I want to make sure that I make it clear the purpose of the next few minutes is not to downplay or dismiss the seriousness of coronavirus. In actuality, I want more people to become more aware, get a clearer understanding of what it is we are looking at regarding coronavirus. Before we get started with that, do make sure that you're subscribed and be sure to turn noties on. If you don't have notifications turned on, you'll probably never see my face again. And now that I have said that out loud, that actually sounds like a pretty good deal. So, I'm in a pickle. Okay. Let's get into this. CBS was caught lying about hospital footage. Now, as the great Michael Knowles said in a recent podcast, nobody should ever be laughed at for using the words fake news ever again. When Donald Trump came up with that phrase several years ago now, the media took it up, they stirred it up, and they laughed at him. Portrayed him as this crazy person. But what they've actually done in the years following is they've only proven him to be right. Check out this clip from a hospital in Italy. Actually only a couple hours away from, hey, here's your daily reminder that I live in Italy. You used to be jealous of me. Joke's on me now, huh? Okay. This is a hospital a couple hours away from where I am here in Italy, and it's the kind of the epicenter of the outbreak of coronavirus. Check this out.
And so we have to reorganize our
Italian
emergency room
accent
and our hospital in 3 levels of intensity, as you saw.
This is the main hospital in Bergamo, in Lombardy province. It's one of the most advanced hospitals in Europe. But it's the most hard-hit of all the hospitals in Italy.
Now I want you to watch this clip of CBS in New York City attempting to pass off the same footage as coming from a hospital in New York City.
We remain deeply concerned about New York City and the New York metro area.
That is because more than half of the nation's new coronavirus cases are being found right here. Crowded subway cars may have accelerated the spread. New York's governor says FEMA gave the state 400 ventilators.
There it is.
To that, he said this.
What am I going to do with 400 ventilators when I...
Okay. There's obviously no debate that this is the same exact footage. Now, just on a side note as well, they received 4,000 ventilators, not 400. So there's that. But there's also the fact that, hey, that hospital's not in New York. It's actually not even in our country. In the US, it's actually about 6,000 miles away in Italy. It's ridiculous. Now, CBS blamed this massive lie on a simple editing mistake, which is pretty ridiculous. It begs the question, how in the world does a major news network get something that wrong? Now, I might be able to believe that that was a simple editing mistake, besides the fact that they seemed to pick the 3 seconds of the entire documentary that literally say this is a hospital in Bergamo, Italy. It's just, and for the sake of being annoying, obnoxious, this is the footage right next to each other. Look at this. How do you mess up that bad, CBS? There's no way that's an editing mistake. There's no way that someone had to come across this footage. It only came from one place, Sky News. And you're telling me they did not hear the words, "This is a hospital in Bergamo, Italy"? That's literally the part of the clip that they played on national television. It's ridiculous. Brings me to my next point. Are you afraid? Are you afraid yet, public? Public, are you afraid yet? Everywhere you look, no matter what channel, browser, or social platform, all we see is 24/7 coronavirus news coverage. Now, my question is, do you at home, you in your PJs. I'm not judging. No judgment here. I took mine off at like 3 p.m. today. My question is, do you have a legitimate concern? Do you have a legitimate concern in being hysterically fearful that this is the end of the world? Once again, let me take this opportunity to say, I am not suggesting that there is nothing to be afraid of. I think we should all be responsible and follow social distancing. Follow the advice of those in authority over you. Just do it. It's a good idea. But I want to ask, have you done your own research? Just out of curiosity, how many people are out there actually looking at the numbers for themselves? How many people are out there actually doing math by population per capita? That's really what you need to worry about. Not saying that there's not a chance and that you shouldn't be worried about this. Don't take my word for it either. Don't trust what I say. Don't even trust what the president says. I mean, seriously. When it comes down to it, just do your own research. You know, that's usually one of the best ways to tell if someone is giving you the truth. Check and see if they don't overvalue themselves, don't oversell themselves, put themselves up on a pedestal and say, I know more than you. Listen to me. If they don't get offended when someone just doesn't trust them. Because the truth always speaks for itself. If someone is telling the truth, they don't get offended when someone wants to check in for themselves. What would be offensive about that? You know you're telling the truth. You know they're going to find the truth. But when the name calling starts, when national mainstream medias are picking out people and calling them names, that's a classic left tactic, by the way. When someone doesn't agree with what you say, just call them a name. It works like a charm. If they want to conduct their own research for coronavirus instead of treating every word that comes out of your mouth as if it's flowing from the fountain of truth, just call them a coronavirus denier. It doesn't even flow off the tongue that well either. That's the name they've chosen. Coronavirus denier. And you know what? It sounds vaguely familiar to the one that they use for climate change. For climate change haters. Yeah, that it's science denier. Hey, I happen to believe that the world isn't going to end in 12 years. Oh, well, you're a science denier. they're just getting lazy with the names now. That's all. But that is what they called Todd Starnes after he wanted to see what his local hospital looked like in Brooklyn, New York City. After CBS was exposed for lying about a hospital being in Italy instead of in New York City where they said it was. He took a stroll down to his local hospital to see if it looked as crazy as they were saying. This is just a quick Google search, by the way. And here you can see all three of the top stories. Coronavirus deniers. Conspiracy theorist. Twitter's ugly truther trend. When you're calling the truth ugly, you might be on the wrong side. They took over and they started calling him names because he asked some fair questions. Let's take a look at what he asked.
So look, this is outside of our hospital here in Brooklyn. This hospital serves thousands and thousands of people. Now, this is the line to get tested for the coronavirus right here. This is where the line starts. And folks, I'm here to tell you, at this very moment, not a single person is in line waiting to get tested.
Not one person.
This is the emergency room. And you would expect, if you believe the mainstream media, that this emergency room would be overflowing with people. And as you can tell, there are no people here.
No people.
Now again, this
no
is
one
not
even
to
showing
say
up.
that this situation could change.
There's
but
a
I'm
person.
telling you right now, this is what's really going on in New York City, here in Brooklyn.
That's what it really looks like. Now, if you watch the news all day, you'd probably think it'd be overflowing, like Todd said. But just from that video. Now, when you Google Todd Starnes, you're bombarded with coronavirus denier. How is it denying coronavirus when you literally go to your hospital and see nobody there in line for the coronavirus test? Oh, and it just happens to be in New York City, where half of all the cases are coming from. Now, once again, please let me say, I am not saying that you shouldn't take every possible precaution. And I'm certainly saying that the virus, and I'm certainly not saying, almost got in trouble there, that the virus is not dangerous. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just simply saying, do your own critical thinking. Why would a hospital in New York City not have anyone in line to be tested? Why is nobody in line? Is that not a fair question? It's not a fair question to say, hey, I thought this was the end of the world. I thought everybody should be in a panic. I thought the lines would be overflowing. I thought it would look like the hospitals in Italy. What's going on here? Is that not a fair question? I think it's perfectly fair, to be honest, but the mainstream media went nuts over this and labeled Todd Starnes. He's now labeled coronavirus denier. These are the same media that tried to pass off an Italian hospital as being in New York City. The main idea is it so far-fetched to believe that the mainstream media wouldn't just be spinning this a little, trying to make it look bad, maybe even worse than it actually is? Not saying it's not dangerous, but maybe worse than it actually is, so that they can pin it on Trump. Is it that not so far-fetched? Anyways, that's the video for today, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you agree with Todd? Do you think he's a lunatic? Do you think he's a denier? I'll catch you next time. Yeah, just move it to the right a little bit. Yeah, that's perfect. What are you still doing here? Oh, you watched the entire video. That's great. Hey, you can watch some more right here. Don't really know what to say here. It's kind of awkward. Thanks. Thank you. Is that it?